We're in Manila for the final round of Season 16. It's championship winner Revo from Sebastian Ocampo, Einet Babanas, and Akari, your top four. P. Sierra with a brilliant qualifying then. He starts 5th from UCable and T. Gabo. Lala Leclerc starts 8th, and then it's Vasichan Tan, then it's Santino Milan, and Aurelio Pinnacle's Leo in the number 30 car. Daf Sanchez starts 12th from iWorld, and Daniel Bogdasarov. David Kamner starts 15th from Marcus Nelson in 16th, and Neil Rezin 17th. August Regazzoni is 18th from Yuki Suo and Enoch Huey. Then it's the two next TVs of Michael Nokovov and Tommy. We've had 19 races prior to this. Brilliant champion has been crowned in Revo, who starts on pole today with Season 14's champion alongside. Hall 5 lights go on here in the Philippines. And we go green for the Manila Prix to round off season number 16. And that's a pretty good start from Sebastian Ocampo on the outside and coming through turn number 1. So Babness getting the jump out of him coming through that first turn. It's very wet here in the Philippines today, and Babness trying to draw alongside Ocampo with Akari looming in the distance right behind him. Very close, compact field we've got out here today. 20 laps for this Manila Prix. As here comes Babness on Ocampo, coming down this very long straight, very easy to draft along inside other drivers. It's a very dense air temperature, so slipstream will really help you. Akari, however, trying to draw alongside Sebastian Ocampo here, and he is going to get himself up into 3rd. Babness dropping down to 4th, but the question for Akari is, can he take 2nd away from his long-time rival? The reigning champion does get himself up into 2nd position. So it is Revo from Akari, from Ocampo, from Babness. P. Sierra currently in 5th, fighting with UCable, and yellow flags for Sebastian Ocampo. Santino Milan with a 5-second time penalty. Further back, Babness is up into 3rd with that collision. 5-second time penalty for Yuki Suo in the 19. But Ocampo, we're hearing, is going to have to come into the pits at the end of this lap. So on the opening lap, there is the Season 14 champion, and he's got a damaged front wing. So that's going to send him right back down to the back of the grid. And that's opened up 4 seconds between Babness and Akari. So Revo getting the fastest first sector of anyone. As you can see, Ocampo coming out of the pits in last position. Roughly, let's see him come out. That is 8 seconds off the back of Milrez. It's not insurmountable. Milrez had a pretty woeful start there, dropped down to 21st. And that was the guy who would have been fighting Revo for the championship up until last time out if it wasn't for Ocampo swooping in. I'm really struggling with trying to get words out. But Akari still in 2nd, 1.1 seconds off the back of Revo. I think right now on lap 2, he's just holding back, waiting for the later stages of the race where he can actually go after the number 7, who we don't know if he's going to be running with the number 1. And I think we're just going to have to put this in right now because of the amount of time I've got right now between right now and when school comes back, and also considering the holidays and Halloween, as Nelson getting a 5-second time penalty, we've decided not to have the playoffs. The playoffs will be an anniversary season only thing. We mentioned these are drivers who would get into the playoffs, but we've decided against having the playoffs. The playoffs will not return for the end of Season 16. We will not have a postseason. We will send you straight into Season 17. Tommy setting the fastest first sector of anyone there, as Nelson trying to pry his way past his own teammate. There he goes. He's alongside Enoch Huey in that Mahindra. Those guys pretty close behind each other. As Akari trying to close in on Revo, and we've been notified there could be a problem with Milrez's braking systems. That's why he's dropped down. They might not have set up the brake bias correctly. Milrez definitely trying to fix that as well, but sadly, it's not going to help him out too much. As he has, however, gotten himself ahead of his own teammate. as they now enter the final sector as Ravo begins lap number 4 of 20. And virtual safety car Marcus Nelson is out of the Prix, as well as Emil Reyes looking back with an RQE. We couldn't see either car. So unfortunate there. Full course yellow has been called out, as we're now calling it. And yeah, Ocampo would have used that time to close in. So as we get back racing on lap 4 of 20, you cable 5 seconds off the back of Ironette Babinus. As still watching Ravo pull out in front. The main reason we've decided to pull the playoffs is because, well, we've tried to look for locations to hold it, and we just decided, you know what, we should just save those locations for season 17, which already is going to have a little bit shorter of a calendar than this season. Has had 20 races for the first time since season 8. And season 8 ended pretty well, so it is always interesting to see longer seasons. Vasha Chantan getting a 5-second time penalty. Santino Milan trying to close in on Vasha Chantan. So we're on to lap 5 of 20. Yellow flags in the final sector. And that is for Daniel Bogdasarov, whose front wing has detached. We can just say that. Bogdasarov coming in. And that's both. That's him and Ocampo, 2 former teammates who have now both had excursions through the final sector. And today, instead of advertising my own content, I'm going to advertise someone else's. The Monoposto Formula 1 Championship. World Championship. As we see one of the Toyotas try and get past Michael Nokovov. That's August Regazzoni sending it down the inside. Brilliant attempt of an overtake, but it just didn't quite work out there. Ravo still holding on to the lead, 1.4 seconds ahead, but just some notes on this Monoposto Formula 1 World Championship. It's held by one of our competitors, as there goes August Regazzoni ahead of Michael Nokovov. Sebastian Ocampo has created this league to be a lot similar to this Formula E Monoposto Championship. So if you like this, you might also enjoy the MF1 WC, the Monoposto Formula 1 World Championship. I'll have the Monaco Grand Prix linked in the description. As we see yellow flags for Bogdasarov, causing a 5-second time penalty, causing a collision, and he is out of the race. And RQE's got a puncture. And in the number 25 with 14 laps to go, it's a puncture for an RQE. Must have run over some debris. It's a full course yellow out there. FCY. I'm not too sure why we fly for full course yellows for an incident in a single sector when the car has just got quite a bit of damage. Like, if it's debris in every sector, then it should be a full course yellow. If a car is out in one sector, if it's just one, I think you can leave it as a yellow. As there goes Nokovov retaking 16th, and look at that, Sebastian Ocampo right on the back of these two. He's got a lot of pace in that MS Amlin Andretti. If he didn't crash coming through that final sector on the opening lap, I think he would have been fighting for the lead. I think he would have split Revo and Akari, but as it stands on lap 7 of 20, it is still Revo from Akari from Babinus. August Regazzoni getting a 5-second time penalty for causing a collision. Is that 10 seconds? No, he's collided with Nokovov, we believe. So, that Toyota driver doing quite a bit of pushing and shoving as if he's in NASCAR, which was a funnier joke last season because we had playoffs last season. But we're still currently looking at Akari, currently in P2. He's doing as much as he can to close in on Revo, but he's dropped off the back quite a bit. He's 4 seconds away from the hyperdrive man, who's the fastest second sector of anyone. Revo is flying out here. And for the Master of Manila, he's won all 3 of the races we've held here in season 14, 15, and the postseason of season 15, which saw him on both occasions take championships. A P2 is not going to be everything he needs, but it's going to help him heading into season 17. It will be quite nice for him to do it. And we're on to lap 8 of 20. We're approaching half race distance. And if you're a Sky Q, Sky TV, or Now TV customer, you can press the grey button below this video and subscribe to the BDS Formula 1 YouTube channel and hit the bell to be notified of any and all Formula E Monopoly Championship races as soon as they occur. And it also supports this championship quite a bit. However, viewing it also supports it more than enough. Regazzoni got passed by Nokovarv earlier on, and to be honest, an RQE's puncture has pretty much ended his race, because right now all he can really do is just hold on, as that's a lot of weaving from Leo, being attacked by Gabo and Vashchantan. Gabo had a pretty good Sao Paulo Prix last time out, so of course he's gonna want to continue to be fighting out there, as soft tires going on to the Mahindra number 25 of an RQE. Revo coming into the pits as well. It is drying up significantly out there, but is it dry enough to go on to the dry compound of tires? As we see Tommy come through, a lot of weaving and a lot of just fumes of spray. There's no rain falling out there anymore, so I think the teams are somewhat justified now in going out there on dry tires. And RQE's already come out of the pits, as well as the top 3. Akari on the mediums compared to both hyperdrives on soft compound of tires. Is anyone going to try and go into the hards? Of course, on the left hand side of your screen, the timing tower, it's a very valuable element of these telebroadcasts. As virtual safety car, full course yellow for August Regazzoni, who is out of the race. They've pulled him in down at Rodin Toyota, as Santino Milan has decided to go onto hard tires. Pretty weird decision for the Nissan Nismo driver. Although then again, the point of having hard tires on is to extend as far as possible into the race, and I don't think Santino Milan is going to have to pit, for example, 3 more times like everyone around him will. We go back racing then, as we look to Ionet Babnas in a little bit of a race of his own. In fact, the entire top 3 in a bit of a race of their own, because they have comfortable gaps in front and behind them. And in fact, you can extend that to the top 5. Gabo not really close enough to UK Wall to put too much of a threat to him. So we are looking at the closest, highest up fight for position between Leo and Tommy over P6. And you know what? I think Aurelio Pinnacle really stepping up their game come season's end. So I'm very excited to see what they're going to do next season. We're at half race distance then. It's gone back dry. However, I do believe there are still a few wet patches, especially in that third sector. So watch out for drivers possibly spinning or sliding and hitting the wall at that part of the track. A little bit of a dummy thrown by iWorld, and he's going to use that to its fullest extent up into 11th position for the number 21. That's a kind of move you rarely see in this championship, because drivers are just too afraid of going into the back of their opponent, although we see that often. Sierra's going to have attack mode coming down the straight. It'll be the first lap with attack mode, this 10th lap of the Manila Prix. Revo sending a fastest second sector of anyone. Leo going pretty well out there, trying to send it on Tommy. He's dropped down to 6th. Suo's found his way up into 6th, then Leo down to 8th. Leclerc trying to overtake the Aurelio Pinnacle, and RQE fastest lap of the Prix, 1:15.949, as we see Revo round out the final turn to start the 11th lap of 20, and with a fastest lap no less, a 1:15.783. Revo has been one of the fastest men out there all day as Leo is out of the Prix. Full course yellow once again, and he has just kind of slid across some of that standing water. Probably could have done with an extra lap on the inters. However, with most of the track being dry, soft tires, medium tires, and hard tires, they were the optimal strategy option as Dav Sanchez has peeled into pit lane. I think he might have gotten damage from that, in which case Andretti's bid for the World Constructors title looks a lot less certain. Got 9 laps to go here in Marina Bay as we are considering bringing back fan boost. If you don't remember the fan boost, it was something that we've only ever seen in season 1. It was the main differentiator between this championship and every other championship, the fact that we had fan boost, but we decided against using it. However, we might bring it back. We might bring back fan boost. And how we would do it is underneath every video on the Discord, we would bring back the fan boost channel and we would have users post their drivers, like the driver they want to have win the fan boost. As Ravo's come in for medium tires, yellows, and another full course yellow. Vashishan Tan is out, and Mahindra's day has just gotten even worse. Unfortunate for them once again. Another major collision. This time it's taken out one of their drivers. And yeah, hopefully we can get back racing soon. As that is Gabo coming out of the pit lane. And we are definitely considering fan boost as we're on to lap 12 of 20 at full racing speed. And the main reason we want to bring back fan boost is just so then we've got more interaction with you, the viewer. Having fan boost would end up meaning, of course, that there'd be more interaction, which would mean that more people would tell their friends about it. And we've got yellows. That's for an RQE sliding into the barriers. Thankfully, not a full course yellow. If it was, that would have been unbelievably tragic for the Mahindra team, who are way down the order. An RQE coming into the pits to change his front wing, and another yellow flag, that time for Arnett Babnis. Babnis sliding into the wall, and he's lost nothing from his front wing. He will come into the pits, we expect, as Akari's in. Babnis does come in, so I'm not too sure how much Akari gained from being on the mediums. Not too much. He's going to be on the softs on lap 13. He should stay on those until around lap 17 when he must kind of pit, or else he would risk a puncture around lap 19. He wouldn't make it to the end on those softs, and Ravo wouldn't make it to the end on those mediums either. He can go to maximum lap 19 before he might run into troubles. But Nokovov on the back of Iwald, no dummies needing to be thrown here because Iwald's got it covered for 9th position now as drivers coming out of the pits with 7 laps to go, 13 of 20. And how is Nokovov gonna fight this one? He's gonna have not just attack mode, but a brilliant slipstream coming down that straight. So we're gonna keep an eye on the timing tower as we watch Ravo come through that come through this final sector. Then, as he's closing in on a not QE, and Iwald has been overtaken by Michael Nokovov. We haven't been watching that. We've been watching Ravo come through this final sector, and he's been putting in some really quick times through the mini sectors. Akari trying to close up to UK Ball, who might come in at the end of this lap. He's on those medium tires. They're not too worn. He might have actually... There's a good chance that UK Ball might have just outplayed Akari and Babnis in strategy. This VSC, Iwald out. Oh, man. The number 21 was having such a great day out there. He's out of the race now. Must have been running over some standing water. There's barely any out there, but, you know, barely any is still some. I'm really stumbling over my words as we've seen drivers coming into the pits there. And Ravo can see an RQE. Of course, you can't see him, sadly, because we've got that vertical timer as we go back racing then, and you can see that little speck up there. That is an Kiwi, and he's doing his best to not get lapped. T Gabo in the number 29, currently running in 4th. He's had one of the better second halves to a season that any of the drivers out there have had. It's a really commendable effort from at least one of the version Renaults. The other one, not so much. It's not been one of the better seasons for Daniel Bogdasarov, who will not finish this Prix. And on to lap 15 we go. 5 laps to go here in Manila, and it's just 5 more laps for Revo to come home and win a race here in the Philippines. However, into the pits has come T Gabo. Revo has almost a free pit stop between him and Akari. U-Cable has been passed by Akari. We haven't really been watching any of the major fights up front. Ocampo comes in for his 4th and probably final pit stop. 5 laps left to run. If Ocampo can get himself into the points, he is your... I would love to say that he is your driver of the day. Discuss driver of the day in the comments down below, you know. That would also really help out. As we come through this long left-hand turn. As we now go into this little Mickey Mouse section of corners. It is kind of just single radius turns throughout this entire 3rd sector, but in our Formula E monoposto cars, these are some of the better opportunities to make an overtake. So into the pits comes Revo. So he is going in for soft tyres. Those were some very shredded mediums, so he needed to come in for those. And I do believe he should be pretty good to go here to the end of the race. Akari, however, battling down the main straight. He will take the lead. U-Cable comes in. So it's going to be a race coming out of the pits between Revo and Babness. And Babness is going to win out this time. So Revo comes out of the pits in P3. So Revo now, he doesn't have to pit again. As we see more drivers come in. Cheklerk and Notkivov. Dav Sanchez setting a faster lap in his MS Amlin and Duretti. But with 4 laps to go, Cheklerk also coming out of the pits now. I think the main thing for Revo right now is that he doesn't have to do anything much. He doesn't have to pump in some fast lap times. He's within the pit window for Akari and Babness, who both do need to pit, but even then, Babness going pretty slow out there on his mediums. He's been caught by Revo already. He's going to get past his teammate. Formation coming into this turn. Brilliant move by Revo. Ahead of Inet Babness now. Although I wonder if Hyperdrive would have preferred to have Inet out there ahead on lap 16 of 20 then. As we see Sanchez try and get past U-Cable. I am still just keeping an eye on everything. And RQE's coming out of the pits. Babness in for his stop alongside Akari. So Revo resumes his race lead. Yellow's in that 3rd sector. Those... No one's retired from the race, thankfully. So I don't know who they were for. Someone's definitely coming in. Camino's in. I think it might be for Dav Sanchez, who has already come into the pits. It was his 4th stop, though. So, Ocampo is actually going to be in the points here. Ocampo should be able to get himself into the points. If you're wondering how we know how worn someone's tyres are a lot of the time in earlier races, you can take a look at the driver's steering wheel or on higher quality races, because sometimes I'm recording on my tablet, which doesn't allow me to do high quality. So just take a look on the steering wheel and you can see. But we're on board with Akari. He's behind U-Cable. U-Cable actually up in 2nd. So Braun GP Honda looking to end off the season on a high before we head into next season. And he's trying his best to close up to U-Cable. He's 2 seconds off the back of the Season 10 champion. It's the reigning World Drivers' Champion, who has lost his crown. We've got 2 more laps to go. And we've got yellows out of the race. Babness and P. Sierra both out. Oh dear, and that is it for the World Constructors Championship. MS Amlin Andretti are your World Constructors Champions, because for Hyperdrive to take the World Constructors Championship, they needed a 1-2. If Babness did not retire, there is no questioning it. He definitely would have caught up to the back of Akari and Ukable and gotten past. Ocampo is coming into the pits, however, to change his tyres. So I don't think MS Amlin and Andretti are going to score too many points today compared to this man, Revo, who is going to extend into that brilliant season he's had already. He may have had a handful of retirements in the later stages, but he won 4 in a row. He did 4 for 4, which has only ever happened to World Drivers Champions in their seasons. I can't even name, I can name 2 drivers who've done that aside from Revo. Rodney Sola and B Dragon Sonic. Back in the early days, as we see Santino Milan get a time penalty for causing a collision. But that was back in the early days where it really was just 1 or 2 teams dominating. Now, it's a total toss-up for whoever's going to win a race, and Revo still managed to do 4 on the balance. Fastest first sector for an RQE then, as we enter the penultimate lap, and Ukable does decide to peel into pit lane. Where is Babness going to come out? Oh, Revo also came in. Akari is staying out there on his mediums. This is going to come down to what I like to call the Canada scenario. Remember back in Season 12 when David Camno won his first race with Braun GP Honda in Canada by pitting on the penultimate lap and catching up the race leader? Well, I think we're going to see that again. Ukable's dropped to 6th position, so him being on the podium would be quite ambitious. But for Revo, I'm keeping an eye on his time to Akari. He's 1.7 seconds off the back of him. 1.9 seconds off the back. I'm doing my best is to read it off as we're on board with an RQE in 13th. Akari under threat. Where is Revo? Will we see him? There he is. In the background there, you can barely see him. There he goes again. On board with Akari. He's 2.5, 1.7, 1.9 away. And RQE's coming for his 5th and final pit stop. But Akari, in his home race, he's going to have to defend like a maniac on this, the final lap of Season 16 here in Manila. Probably the last time we'll end a season in Manila for a pretty long time, as we've just received news that London has received the exclusive rights to finish the season, as an RQE getting out of the way of the leaders quite rightfully, as we now come down this straight, this very, very long straight. Attack mode for Revo, who's under a second away, gaining on him, gaining on the number 10. And while we've already seen the World Drivers' title crown be switched hands, and I think we're going to see it quite literally switch hands for the lead on the final lap here in Manila. Revo takes the lead of the Prix, and of course, another race win is soon to be his. He's only got 1 more sector to go. He's led a brilliant season and has brought Hyperdrive back up to the top of the World Drivers standings. Akari is not going to win his home race. It's gonna be our World Drivers champion for Season 16, who comes through the final turn. Revo wins the Manila E3 from Akari and T Gabo. Fastest lap going to the number 7, who might run with the number 1 next season. We are unsure. Akari comes home second, 1.4 seconds away from Revo, but give it up for T Gabo. We've got 2 Italians on the podium, a lot of weaving from Oliver Leclerc, trying to hold on to 8th. It's not going to work out. He drops to 10th behind Tommy. And for MS Amlin Andretti, only one of their drivers will score points. And this is the podium then. Revo wins the final round of the season from home driver Akari and T Gabo, your top 3. Brilliant stuff from Revo and Gabo today to get themselves onto the podium. Then it's U-Cable, Michael Nokovov, Daf Sanchez, Tommy, and Yuki Suo, the top 8. Then it's Lala Shakuk, David Camino, Sebo Campo, Santino Milan, and Anok Kiwi, your finishers, with the rest of the drivers not being able to finish the race. I gotta catch my breath off here. In the drivers' standings, Revo is your world drivers' champion from the 2 MS Amlin Andretti's, Anok Kiwi and Mealres. Then it's Akari, U-Cable, Tommy, August Rigazzoni, Yuki Suo, David Camino, Marcus Nelson, Daniel Bogdasarov, Santino Milan, Leo, Lars Chaklerk, Gabo, iWorld, Michael Nokovov, Sierra, and those are the 2 drivers at the back. This is your World Constructors standings. MS Amlin Andretti are your World Constructors champions. What a season it's been, and we'll see you guys next season.